I want that 90s kind of love feel. Remember love in the 90s? If you're a 70s baby, you were born in the 70s or late 60s, and you hit your 20s in the 90s. Dating was good in the 90s. It was easy. But you expect things to be. I'm sure 20-year-olds today, 30 years from now, will be saying, you remember how dating was so easy in the 20s?
Shh, here comes the intro. It's your favorite girl from the Midwest, Chicago Red. Hey, I'm a Pisces and I'm from Chicago. Just deal with it. No, I'm not a comedian. I'm just a lady with an opinion, but I guess that's funny. All right, that's enough. Let's go.
Hey, redheads. It's your favorite girl from the Midwest, Chicago Red, with another episode of Red Rage. You all go ahead and like the video. Be sure to make your comments in the red zone. That's where it goes down, in the red zone. And, if you're feeling the content, subscribe. I mean, why not? I've been enjoying these little chats that I am providing on my way home. It's an opportunity for me, one, to create some content, two, navigate this space of being single in my 50s and not really desperate to date. Let me not say not really desperate. Not desperate to date, because that really indicates there is some form of desperation. I'm really not desperate to date. I'm not desperate to date. I am open to the opportunity of dating someone that's really nice and someone that I can gel with, someone who gets my humor, I get his humor. And, we can, I want that 90s kind of love feel. Remember love in the 90s? If you're a 70s baby, you were born in the 70s or late 60s, and, you hit your 20s in the 90s. Dating was good in the 90s. It was easy. But, you expect things to be. I'm sure 20-year-olds today, 30 years from now, will be saying, you remember how dating was so easy in the 20s? Whew. Child. That seems so far away. But I was online today and just navigating that space, looking up information about dating and how dating has changed from the 90s up until now. And they gave some really good common sense, some obvious points, and I wanted to go over some of those. When I went in Google, this was the actual verbiage that they provided. They said dating has changed significantly from the 1990s to the present day. In the 90s, dating primarily occurred through face-to-face interactions, phone calls, usually landlines, and limited early forms of online, limited forms of online communication. Now, dating is heavily influenced by technology, including dating apps, social media, and instant messaging, which have transformed how people meet, connect, and communicate. So here's a more detailed comparison. So I'm actually reading this word for word because I didn't want to miss any of the details that it provided. And I'll elaborate on some of these points as I go through them. But dating in the 90s, so face-to-face interaction, people, I missed my opportunity to turn. People met at school, work, clubs, or through friends and family. And yes, that is exactly how I met a lot of people in the 90s. I used to do an internship at one of the nightclubs in Chicago, Cotton Club. And at the Cotton Club, I met so many people, women and men. But with regards to dating, I met my fair share and hung out with a few of them. In fact, Dion Cole, famous Dion Cole now, he was the comedian host for the open mic on Mondays. And I think it was every third Thursday, we had Boom, Best of Open Mic. Boom was an acronym for Best of Open Mic. And he was the host of that show. And I used to hang out with Dion. We had a good time. I met some other guys there. Corey Holcomb, who's also a comedian from Chicago. I didn't meet Corey Holcomb at the Cotton Club, but we started hanging out being at the Cotton Club. I met Corey Holcomb actually. Shut up, I was not finna hit that person. See, this is the red rage I'm talking about. My car just gives notifications unnecessarily. I can see that car. But I met Corey at the junior college here in the west suburbs of Chicago. So I knew Corey before I got to the Cotton Club, but our friendship was able to build being at the Cotton Club. So now he's doing what he does. God bless Corey Holcomb. Corey is a mess. But yeah, I knew those guys. I knew them from a personal space. I used to hang out. So yeah, I met a lot of people in the clubs. Some good, some indifferent. None. I had no bad connections at the Cotton Club or at any clubs that I had gone to. Ooh, I met this one guy, y'all. Should I tell this story? I'm not giving any names, and I doubt that he'll see this. But I had met him at this club called Entus. Entus used to be on Erie, right between Wells and Orleans. There's something on my eye. I'm sorry, y'all. Every time I look down, it looks like something is right here. But anyway. And I was in Entus because I was doing 2 interns at the same time. I worked at the Cotton Club on Monday nights and every third Thursday. And I also was an intern for a lady who had a company that did events for celebrity athletes and entertainers. And so the reason I was in Entus this particular night was because I had to hand out flyers for one of the events that we were having for, it had to have been the Chicago Bulls because it was during the summer months, the warm months. And this was back in the 90s when the Bulls were like on fire. And Ron Harper, we used to do parties for Ron Harper. He would throw parties for Jeremy Lincoln, who played with the Bears, and Jeremy Lincoln would throw parties for Ron Harper for the Bulls. So that's how that went, because they were both from, was it Ohio? I don't know where they're from. I can't remember where they're from, but because they were from the same place and they were playing in the same city, they would throw each other a party. So anyway, Jeremy Lincoln was throwing a party for Ron Harper during the Bulls championship role. So that's that. So I just happened to be at Entus this one particular night, and I was sitting there, and it was nothing for me to go to a club by myself because I knew so many people in the entertainment space and the clubs. I told you before, I'm a popular loner. I knew a lot of people. They knew me. So it was nothing for me to go to a club by myself because I knew I was going to meet people there. This particular night, I didn't know anybody at the club, but I was there and I was doing what I was supposed to do. And I sat down at the bar. But when I sat at the bar, I was not facing the bar. I was facing the dance floor. And this guy was, I don't know if he sat next to me or if he was already sitting there when I sat down, but he sat next to me. And I don't know why I didn't really notice him. When I say notice him, like I didn't notice physique, face, aesthetics, nothing. I wasn't really paying attention. I just thought that he was a nice guy and we exchanged numbers. Yes, this was during the time when we would actually exchange phone numbers. So we exchanged numbers and he ended up calling me. I want to say the next day. He called me the next day and we made plans to hang out. So I'm on the phone with my best friend. Now, this was in the 90s, like I said. I'm on the phone with my best friend. We're still best friends to this day. And I told her what was going on. And she said, I said, I'm waiting for this guy to come. The guy actually came and picked me up. That's another one of the points between the differences between dating in the 90s and now. But I'm going to get to that. He came to my house in the suburbs. He lived on the south side of Chicago in the Morgan Park area. If you're from Chicago, you know where the Morgan Park area is. He lived over there and I lived in the west suburbs. So he came and picked me up and I'm on the phone with my friend and I'm telling her about this guy. She was like, well, what does he look like? I said, I really don't know what he looked like. He wasn't hideous, but I just couldn't remember anything that stuck out. Baby, when that man pulled up, I said, oh, here he is right here. And she said, we didn't get off the phone right away. I said, oh my God, Kim. She said, what? I said, girl, this man is fine. She said, what he look like? I said, girl, he got body yaddy yaddy. Well, I ain't say body yaddy because we wasn't saying body yaddy yaddy there. But I was like, he has muscle because he had on a tank top and some shorts. He can't. Residual chills. Oh wait. Oh. I said he has muscles. He has biceps. He wasn't like I don't like ridiculous muscles. Like you can't even put your arms down. You have so many muscles. But I do like bulky arms. That's one of my things. And muscular shoulders, broad shoulders, thin waist, abs. Now, I couldn't see the abs from the tank top, but I knew they were there. Because how you going to have all of this and don't have abs? So, but I was right in my assessment. He had abs too. And so I was like, I got to get off the phone. I was on back then we had cordless phones. So I brought the cordless phone back in the house, put it on the receiver, and went on out with the guy. I was liking me some him. But he had somebody. We just stopped talking. It was on him. He just stopped talking. But I was able to deduce that he had somebody. But yeah. He was nice. He was real nice. And I'm not gonna hold you. If I see him or if we're still friends on social media. If we, come across one another time to time, I'll speak. And we do bring up that time that we hung out. It's a whole joke behind us hanging out because we hung out a couple of times. But there's a joke, an inside joke between the two of us that that cracks us up. Maybe I'll talk about that another time. But anyway, so yeah, work clubs or through friends and family. That's how we would meet face to face in the 90s. Now, landline phone calls. I know a lot of you who were born later in time have no idea what a landline phone look like, or the concept of a landline phone. Like it's just your brain is just blown by the idea that people didn't have phones on them at all times. No, that was not a thing. When you went out with your parents, you did not have tablets, you did not have laptops, you did not have phones that you could play on and be distracted while they were conducting their business. No, you had to sit there and listen to them talk to the accountants at the bank or whoever's at the bank. You had to sit there and go with them while they voted, and you had to act like you knew what was going on. You had to sit in the doctor's office and look through the magazine. You had to do all of that. Yeah, we didn't have cell phones and tablets and all that good stuff. That's why we pay attention now, because we weren't distracted then. But it says communication was primarily done through phones, which could be time consuming and require coordinating schedules. Yeah, because even back then, no, we had voicemail in the 90s. Yeah. So even if you missed a call, you would get a voicemail. So I don't know about the coordinating schedules, but you would have to coordinate your schedule. It's on my face. I keep looking down and seeing something. Limited online communication. Early forms of online communication like AOL Instant Messenger were emerging, but not as widespread as today's platforms. I was on AOL Instant Messenger. Yes, I was. I was on that, and I was also on Yahoo Personals. Those were like the first dating things that I remember back in the 90s. I think maybe Yahoo, I would have done Yahoo in the early 2000s. The zeros is when I was on Yahoo Personals. But yeah, AOL Instant Messenger, baby, that was the lick. I still have an AOL account because of the Instant Messenger. Not that I'm using it, but yeah. Anywho. More emphasis on in-person dates. Dates were planned and executed in person, fostering a greater sense of connection and intimacy. So true. Because you had to actually go out, hang out, do the things that went into dating back in the 90s, there was more, the connection, there was more of an intimate connection, you know? You didn't have, and to me, and I don't want to say there was an urgency, but I don't know. It just, see, because we have this knowledge now, I it's hard for me to express myself because I'm thinking we didn't know what was to come. So, you know, making time to be with somebody was easy then, because now you can just, if you want to see somebody, you can just video chat them, as opposed to scheduling an actual date to go out and hang out with them. You can actually have a virtual date if that's what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I didn't want to go too deep in that part of it, because that actually comes up in another section of this thing this information that I Googled. Okay. More traditional dating etiquette. Practices like paying for dates, opening doors, and picking up dates were more common. Higher effort to meet and connect. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. That's two different things. Okay, so more traditional dating etiquette. Practices like paying for dates, opening doors, and picking up dates were more common. So when I said the guy came and picked me up, that's not happening now. Not on the first date. Now it is very necessary, especially for women, to be in control of that part of the date. I, what y'all doing? Because some SOME, some, not all, some men can be very dangerous. Women nowadays have to navigate these dating spaces with some levels of precaution. One of those precautions would be taking yourself on the date, not divulging your address sooner than you're comfortable in doing, because you might be locked up in his basement for the rest of your life, and who even knows how long that might be. You know, I mean, date rape is real. Kidnapping is real. So having someone pick you up on a first date, that I don't even know any of my friends that are single and dating that would even allow that. I don't. No. The only way I would do that is if I was introduced to somebody through a friend. Then I know. Why are you over there when the start? See, ugh, that's so ignorant. This is a whole turn lane, and you're over in the other. You know, that ain't even my problem because you were on the other side of the road. Anyway, but yeah, it can be a little dangerous for women, and I don't let me leave men out. There are some dangers that men can encounter, I'm sure, but as far as brute strength and the ability to get yourself out of a situation, men have a better chance of getting out of a bad situation than women do. Can we agree on that? Okay. Higher effort to meet and connect. Meeting someone and forming a relationship required more effort and intentionality. Absolutely. Because how else were you going to see this person? You definitely weren't going to see them on YouTube. You weren't going to video call them. That didn't exist. You weren't going to be able to snap a picture of yourself and send it to them unless you were doing it through the mail. Yeah. That just wasn't happening. So in order for you to see one another, you had to be intentional. You had to actually meet up, build a relationship. So yeah, those were definitely some of the key points in the 90s that made it I don't know if I'd say easier. It made the relationship building stronger. That's what it did. That's what it did. Now, dating apps and social media. Dating apps and social media platforms have become the primary ways for people to meet and connect. And at one point, I really thought that dating apps and online dating were the end all to be all, especially because I am an introvert. As an introvert, the less time I have to spend getting myself together to go out to present this person that I think the men would be interested in, the better. I can stay in my crib in my dingy robe and dusty house shoes and chit chat online with about 10 people at one time. Yay me. And I'm coming now that I'm in year. I've started. I was doing, well, like I said, I was doing some online dating back in the 90s, but like the hardcore for real online dating didn't come about until 2006. I know that. I don't know why that date sticks out to me, but I met this one particular guy that I was head over heels for. We still talk now, but that's another story. Um, I started really focusing on online dating then because I had broken up with a guy that I was dating here in Chicago. And, I was just open to other possibilities, expanding my horizon, expanding my reach. We didn't have to just be in Illinois. I could date somebody in another city, another state. And that the online dating made that possible. But what I'm realizing now is that not so much opening up the opportunities to date people in other spaces. What online dating removes is the let me go back to one of these other points. More emphasis on in-person dates. That's what it removes. There's no emphasis to meet and build that relationship. I have so many open connections with people that never went anywhere. Like, we just stopped talking. And I feel like in the 90s, you wouldn't necessarily just stop talking, though that was a thing. You could just stop talking to somebody. But I feel like there was more of a want to close things, to have some kind of closure. Can you scoot over? There was more of a will to make things right. Just if you didn't like me or if I didn't like you, we would just have a conversation about it or not, but I don't know. It seems like things were a little different the way we handled the closing of a relationship, the ending of a relationship, or the ending of communication, because everything that didn't create a relationship. Every conversation didn't move into a relationship, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, there's that part. Oh, that was Yorktown Mall. That was just too dead bird. Dead bird. Put it on you. Put it on you. Anybody know where that came from? Dead bird. If you know where that came from, put it in the red zone. I want to see who I'm talking to. Who am I chatting with these days? Yeah, that was one of my funny comedic live live stand-ups. That's what I'm trying to say. But so instant messaging. Text and instant messaging. Hold on, y'all. Text and instant messaging are the norm for communication, which can lead to over communication or misunderstandings. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. I've had so many misunderstandings based on tone or misinterpreted tone in text messages. Especially when you're first meeting somebody and you don't necessarily understand their level of sarcasm or humor. You may take something seriously that you didn't need to take seriously, or they weren't reading the room and thought that it was okay to say something like that, but it wasn't. So yeah, oops, sorry, didn't see you there. But yeah, I can agree that online dating offers, that text and instant messaging can lead to over communication or misunderstandings. And I'm gonna be honest with you all, having these conversations and looking up this information is really giving me some insight about myself and where I'm probably going wrong, because I'm not a big talker. I know that's hard to believe, but I'm not. This is like my only space to talk. Um, I'm more of a writer. I love to write. I've always been a writer. And so when texting became a thing, oh my goodness, I was in love. And what texting also allowed me to do is critique. I could find out a lot about somebody just by the way that they text. One, what is your relationship to the English language? Do you know how to use it properly? Because that's important to me. As a 50-something-year-old woman who finds herself in different types of spaces, in different places, and meeting different types of people, I need to know that if I leave you alone with people, you will represent me well with the words that you say. And I will not be embarrassed when I come back and find out that you just been out here wild and verbally. So yeah, I do a level of critiquing through text messages. I really cannot stand when we're in the beginning stages of conversation and you're texting me and I get the acronyms, the HRU for how are you? What is that? Or GM for good morning. You don't have time. You don't have time to spell words. You know, I know it's petty. I know there are other things that I should concern myself with, but if you're getting to know me, part of getting to know me is me feeling like you have time for me. If you're shortening your words, do you have time? Are you that busy that you can't spell out good morning? Now, LOL, I'm okay with. BRB for be right back, I'm okay with. That's different. You're not making a statement necessarily with just acronyms. Like good morning, to me, that deserves to be typed out. How are you? That deserves to be typed out. Because if you're typing HRU, I really don't think you care to know how I am. Because you didn't even care, you didn't even have enough time to use all of the letters that go into the words that make up the question. Petty or not, that's who I am in my 50s. If I had started dating in my 20s and texting was available then and we were using we were using acronyms, then as a younger version of me, I might be okay with it. But as a 50-something-year-old woman, we are not having whole conversations with acronyms. We're not doing that. Not yesterday, not today, and definitely not tomorrow. No, sir. Get somebody else to do it. I'm not doing that with you. Now, after we've been through this process for a few months, I'm okay. I'm okay with it. But not in the beginning. Give me that respect. Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that. I deserve better. I deserve. That's Mama D. For those who don't know. Sorry. Greater flexibility and convenience. Online dating offers convenience and allows people to meet a wider range of potential partners. That was the thing that I had just mentioned. Online dating. I have both my earrings. Online dating, I was able to cross borders, state borders, country borders if I wanted to, but I have never dated anybody outside of the United States. I don't care how much them Africans come after me. You will not get a green card on me. I'm sorry. I can't do it. No. Y'all, they try to. If women and men, not me, just men for me, but I know the women come after the men here in the States. So yeah, I am not by myself when I'm saying this. And if you have been approached by God bless them Africans. If you've been approached by, hit me up in the red zone. Let me hear you. Let me hear you. But no. Mm-mm. No, I don't care how beautiful you think I am. Beautiful. You are so beautiful. You're so beautiful. I know. But no. Come on, sir. Okay, don't. Hold on, y'all. I gotta change this page. I gotta flip the page, but it's too much going on right here. It's too much going on right here. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now this comfort suites right here. I'm in what would be considered maybe Villa Park or Oak Brook, but that comfort suites right there, they actually have some really nice rooms. If you're ever in this area, I'm on Roosevelt Road, coming up on 83. But that comfort suite, I'm heading eastbound on Roosevelt Road, and I like that comfort suites. I love staying there. Potential for superficial connections. Oh wait, now you done said a whole lot right there. The speed and ease. Oh, let me get in the middle lane so I have room for error while I'm looking down. The speed and ease of online dating can sometimes lead to shallow interactions and a focus on appearances. I 100% agree. When you were meeting people face to face, they knew what you looked like from the beginning. So there was no way to filter and change your appearance or hide behind old pictures of yourself. A lot of my Facebook family and friends know this story, but I'm gonna tell this one. It was not Labor Day. Labor Day. It was Labor Day. I'm sorry. I was finna say not Memorial Day. It was Labor Day some years ago. And I had mentioned on Facebook that I love barbecued hot dogs. I do. I love barbecued hot dogs with some mustard. That's my thing. If I go to a cookout, I want barbecued hot dogs with mustard. So this guy popped up. It was like, I'm grilling on Labor Day. You could bring some hot dogs and put them on the grill. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So that's what I did. I got me a pack of hot dogs, put them on the grill. I got me a pack of hot dogs and, made my way to this guy's spot. Now, mind you, I have been talking to him, and from his pictures, he was absolutely gorgeous, had these beautiful gray eyes, and he had a nice little tapered cut, real nice, presented very well. Y'all, he lived on the west side of Chicago. I pull up, I park my car, I grab my bag that had my hot dogs in it. I ring the door, I go up to the house, I ring the doorbell. Nobody opens the door. It's a bungalow. If you're familiar with Chicago, you know how our bungalows look. So it was a bungalow house. So I'm at the door. Somebody comes on the side and says, who are you looking for? And I said the name. I can't remember the name, y'all. I said his name. He said, oh, that's me. And I looked at him. I said, you're such and such? He was like, yeah. I said, okay. Looked like whatever picture he posted of himself, it was him. But it was him 20 years ago, maybe 20, 30 years ago. He looked totally different. Totally different. And I still went inside and he was living in the basement. Let me also add that the basement was not finished. It was an unfinished basement. Bed was in the corner. Sir, would you go over? Jesus, if you don't know how to ride that truck, drive that truck, pull over. Bed was over in the corner. Looked like he hadn't changed the sheets in about 5 years. It just looked dirty. The floor had rocks. There was like gravel, chip gravel on the floor in the space where he was seated, where the TV was located. Where I was sitting, there were about 5 vials of insulin. I said, this cannot be life right now. This cannot be life. Y'all, I was messing with my phone and I triggered my notifications. I just turned one of my notifications on and I picked up the phone. I put the phone to my ear, like, hello. There was no call. There was nothing. And I'm talking on the phone like somebody had called me. And I hung up. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll be there shortly. I said, you know what? It's I have to get out of here. I gotta go. I gotta take care of this business. And he was like, oh, okay, well, you didn't put your hot dogs on the grill. I was like, I know, but it's cool. I'll do that later. Yeah, I hightailed it up out of there. Honestly, I was a little scared because nobody knew where I was, and it looked like he had maybe slain somebody's in that. I felt like a crime had taken place in this space before. That's how I felt, and so I was like, I got to get out of here. Get my children out of here. That's how I felt. I was hauling tail to get up out of that place. So yeah. The editing of the appearances. Now, don't get me wrong. I will put my best pictures up, but I look like my pictures. Most of them. But it happens. People are out here catfishing, so beware of the catfish, because it'll get you. Ooh, it'll get you good. Yes, it will. Less emphasis on traditional etiquette, traditional dating etiquette. I'm about to pull over. Because I'm about to get out the car in a second. Less emphasis on traditional etiquette. Traditional dating etiquette is less common, and there's more emphasis on individual preferences and boundaries. So that would be more traditional dating etiquette would be practices like paying for dates, opening doors and picking up dates were more common. So they're saying that there's less of that now. And I would agree. Not that I'm running into issues with men paying for dates. That ain't never been a problem for me. But as I watch a lot of conversations on social media, I do see where a lot of men are a little bitter about having to pay for dates. And I'm saying to myself, seems like that ain't your only problem, sir. But yeah, it can be an issue, I guess. More emphasis on online profiles and self-presentation. People are more conscious of their online profiles and how they present themselves to potential partners. Yeah, I think for me, when I'm online dating, I like to read the bios. If you have an online profile and there's nothing there, I don't know what I'm getting into. And a lot of guys will say, well, I don't know how to talk about myself. What do you mean you don't know how to talk about yourself? When you go into an interview, you're selling yourself in the interview. So act like this is an interview, but on a more intimate level. Your pictures only tell one part of you. I need to know what you think of you. And then I can match it up with what I think of you after I've read it and had conversations with you. But if you can't even take time to express yourself and give someone a reason to want to swipe right on you, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. Key differences and considerations. Level of effort. Dating in the 90s required more effort to meet and connect, while online dating is faster and more convenient. Communication style. Phone calls were the norm in the 90s, while texting and instant messaging dominate today's dating landscape. Social norms. Traditional dating etiquette is less prevalent now, with more emphasis on individual preferences and boundaries. Potential for superficial connections. The speed and ease of online dating can lead to shallow interactions, while in-person dating fostered a deeper sense of connection. That was just a summation of the previous points. I have more stuff that I wanted to go over, but I think I'm gonna make this particular episode a series. So episode 4 is probably gonna have a few more parts to it, and those parts are going to be these other 2 pieces of paper that I have. It's actually 4, but that was part 1 of episode 4, and we will the next ones will be maybe just 2 parts. The pros and cons of dating in your 50s is going to be part 2. Yeah. Is that what I want to do? Are you really going to do it? Yeah, that'll be part 2. So, y'all, I hope you are enjoying these Red Rage sessions. Like I said, I'm learning a little bit about myself, talking about dating. I've always wanted to, maybe do a podcast about dating, but just never did it. But this is probably as close as I'm going to get to it. Go ahead. All right. Thank you. So these, like I said earlier, it's giving me some insight about myself and how I navigate through this dating process at this stage, at this age, at my wage. And it's actually encouraging me to step out a little more and make myself a little more visible, if that's what I want to do. I don't know if I want to do that yet. Well, we'll see. But thank you again for indulging me in this process. And be sure to like the video, hit subscribe, get down in the red zone. That's the comments. You know what it is. Absolutely share the video. And as always, it's your favorite girl from the Midwest, Chicago Red. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.